how to do so. We're going to start the meeting here in just a minute. Sorry, a couple minutes delayed. There is in Hartland at Cottonwood and Haight, also known as right next to the Phoenix, on the street adjacent from Beer Snobs, right at that intersection, there is an active gas leak. If you are in the vicinity, you will hear it. It will sound like high pressure air release sound. That is a gas leak. It's going into the air. There's multiple police and fire there. Areas that need to be evacuated have been evacuated. Other than that, everyone is safe. We Energies is working the problem. Everybody's doing what they need to do. I figured I would say that in case any of you are out there watching and wondering what's going on and why such a large presence of police, We Energies, and fire personnel. Before I call the meeting to order, I also want to say that at the last village board meeting I misspoke. We were talking about music that is held at Nixon Park on Thursday nights, and I made a statement stating that the village taxpayer pays for that, and I didn't clarify nor make a point to note, and I should have, that Bank 59, one of the branches which is located in Hartland, it's one of the oldest banks in the state of Wisconsin, and serves the community very well. Bank 59 has paid for and donated the money so that we can have music in the parks to pay for the bands for the Thursday night concert series that's in Nixon Park. I encourage you, if you're seeing anyone that works at Bank 59, to thank them if you see them, and to not hesitate to step into their establishment and check out all that they have to offer. So thank you, Bank 59, and I apologize for not stating that clearly at the last board meeting. At this time, I will call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee DeBoer?
Here.
Pfeiffer?
Here.
Walschlager? Here. Connor?
Here.
Hallquist?
Here.
President Pfannerstill?
Here.
And Trustee Tretchell is excused this evening.
If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Hallquist.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The election was held in early April for spring terms. In case anybody doesn't know, it's always one group of trustees at a time because it alternates because they're 2-year terms. And it is also myself and the trustees that are to my left. But all the incumbents were reelected. And our clerk is going to administer the oaths of office.
Should we go down there? Or?
Sure, whatever you would like. You're the clerk. The floor is yours. Please direct us.
Well, I'll do his first and then I can do trustees. You want to go down there?
Sure.
I'm all for that.
We can do it in
Here's your cheat sheet.
Thank you.
All right, raise your right hand, please. I, and then state your name.
I, Jeffrey Pfannerstill,
Having been elected or appointed to the office of Village President,
having been elected or appointed to the office of Village President,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, congratulations. Okay, guys, you're up.
Who do you want first?
All of us.
Oh, we're all of us?
No, we can do a group one.
Oh, that makes it easy for photos.
Don't be shy. Raise your right hand, please. I, and then state your name.
I, Ken Hallquist. Well, that's all three of us.
Having been elected or appointed to the office of Village Trustee
Have been elected or appointed to the office of Village Trustee,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof.
but not yet entered upon the duties thereof.
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Swear
that
that
I
I
will
will
support
support
the
the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my abilities.
So help my God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. How many years is it for everyone? Ann?
This will be 13.
13? Rick?
This will be the 4 terms, 6 in, 2 more to go.
Almost 4.
Got it.
You?
And how many years on the park board, Tim?
Not too many. 31.
Oh, if you want to have it for.
Tim, you did start in the 90s, correct? On park board?
Yes.
I just didn't know if it was over where you caught that decade. I just didn't know how many.
Mr. Lamoran appointed me.
Okay. No, but I didn't know if you caught a little bit of the 80s, then you had the 80s, 90s, zeros, 10s, 20s.
All those hits.
Okay. At this time, if anybody would like to speak in public comments, please feel free to step towards the mic or the podium. Should we move that microphone now?
That's fine.
Okay.
My name is Matt Ballantyne. I own S3 Deli at 131 East Capitol Drive. I just wanted to bring it up. That crosswalk on the Ice Age Trail that goes in front of my building to in front of the Silver Leash in between, I would say on an average basis, I see at least 15 to 20 people a week almost get smoked right there. I mean, the cars, it's predominantly in the morning when kids are going to school and then at 2 o'clock when high school's getting out. But even in the middle of the day, I almost watched Marty from Allstate. I mean, he was within 3 or 4 inches of getting smoked. And cars just fly by there on a regular basis. I know that when it's not snowing, I was talking to Ryan, they put the little plastic thing out in the middle. But what happens with that is when the truck drivers come, they get out, they move it in the middle of one of the lanes, they get back in, drive away, and then they just leave it. They don't stop and then get back and move it into the middle. So I mean, I don't know what there is we can do, but I promise you, if there was a cop that parked on the street next to my building, they would probably give out 75 tickets a day. And it's getting to the point where, because that's the Ice Age Trail, now that it's nice out, I mean, I've just in this last week seen probably a 300% uptake in how many people are there. And when the cars are parked right in front of my building, you can't really see the traffic until you take 3 steps out into the crosswalk. So I saw an older couple, really the reason I wanted to come, not that anybody's more important, but I saw an older couple that was walking and the car slammed on its brakes as they jumped back, but then the car started yelling at them for walking in the crosswalk. And so I don't know if there really is anything you can do, but in the last 3 to 4 weeks since the weather, it's gotten really, really bad. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the board, because there's got to be something that we can do, because somebody's going to get hit there, and it's gotten really bad. So
All right,
Thank you for bringing that up. I have seen it happen there before, so
it's really bad.
we'll let PD know, and
Let him know right now.
maybe they can hide.
Well, I did let
Keep
them
an eye
know
out.
when they were doing parking tickets a couple weeks ago, and then that next day they pulled like 11 people over right in front of my building. But then it was like, it kind of went back, so.
Sure, we'll get on it. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Anybody else that would like to speak in public comments?
Zoom is here for a different issue.
Okay. So the first items we have on the agenda are approving village board minutes from the March 24th, 2025 meeting, and also the April 14th, 2025 meeting. It's up to you guys how you want to do them. I'm guessing we have to take them separately because we might have had 2 different set of attendees.
Just in case there's a question on one
Yep.
of them there so far. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 24, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the March 24th meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
That motion is carried with 2 abstentions. Now we have, and an absent, and we have now April 14th, 2025.
I'll make a oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Motion that we approve the minutes for April 14th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the April 14th, 2025 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have items related to the vouchers for payment, which is in the amount of $131,035.01.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $131,035.01.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the vouchers.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Ryan, on page 1 of the vouchers, we have hometown celebration donations. Why is that? Is that in the right place?
It is, so we have an account that is, it takes everything, it takes donations and expenses so that we can net and know how much money we made or lost in the year. And then
Okay.
at year end, those items get moved to an expense and a revenue account, but it all goes into a fund balance equity account so that we can keep track of it.
And then just one other question, on page 4, Public Works. It says operating supplies and expenses, bingo supplies. Why are bingo supplies under Public Works? Page 4, Public Works, 4th item down.
So that, I'm thinking with that, that's just a coding issue, I can have Tanya move it. That should go to rec, it should be 55,300.
Okay, that was all I had, thank you.
Anybody else?
The only question I had, and the library's not here, I'm just curious, and I don't know what, under theirs on page 3, library t-shirts for $1,386.35.
Yep, they're buying t-shirts with their 205 fund, their Friends of the Library money, so that all their staff have library t-shirts. So that's not village taxpayer dollars, it's all donated money that they're using for it. It's approved by the library board.
Thanks.
Anybody else? All in favor of paying the vouchers?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have items related to licenses and permits. We have a Class B beer and Class C wine license for Beer Snobs at Hartland Beer Garden at Nixon Park. They are in the house. Any reason that we should not approve, Madam Clerk?
Not at all. All the paperwork is in order.
Manager?
Yep, all good.
I will make a motion that we approve the Class B beer and Class C wine license for Beer Snobs at Hartland Beer Garden at Nixon Park.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Class B beer and Class C wine license for Beer Snobs at Hartland Beer Garden at Nixon Park. I did want to note something, and I can't figure out this computer right now, so. I'm not looking at the permit. Can you bring
Here.
the permit up? Thank you. What did we put for area on there? I just wanted to say, so the beer garden, and I just wanted to clarify, I just wanted to clarify because it goes in tandem with what they're responsible for there, but it looks like the areas are pretty clearly stated here. Once you go through that entrance, it's that, basically from the warming shed over to where the beer is served and that storage area that's behind on the stage. Obviously, we know that it stretches farther from there, but for the responsibility area, that's theirs. If someone's out watching music, that's not their responsibility. You know what I mean? If someone walks in, carries in, sits down, eats something, drinks something. Just wanted to make sure
I
for
have a
clarity.
question on that now that you said that, though. Did you say the area behind the stage?
Just the back room, because that's where they store beer.
Okay, because isn't that also, doesn't our rec department store their stuff back there too?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
So did Pat, stores
Yeah,
beer back
yeah,
there. It's
okay.
always been stored there.
but they're
Except for the
responsible
first year.
for it?
It's part of the operating area. If you
Okay,
don't put that
okay.
as an
Oh,
operating
okay.
area, then they wouldn't be able to store it there.
Okay, I thought you meant they were responsible for like keeping it clean and the bathroom done up, cleaned up, and that's what I thought you meant.
Went over in the contract.
Right,
But
right.
that's
I just
right
wanted to
next to
make
where they're
sure.
serving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I just want to make sure. I didn't want to add anything else on.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion from anyone else? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Don't feel obligated to stay, but you're more than welcome to watch the entirety.
Go back and,
Listen to the waterfall.
Probably can't get in their building.
Really looking forward to this summer, you guys.
Saturday.
Test run.
Should be a good thing. How are you guys doing over there? Good. 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 We'll all be ready for the tour whenever you're ready to have us. It'll be a fast tour. You just pop your head in.
The sampling, you mean?
The sampling, yes, yes. Now we have, items referred from the Plan Commission. We have review and consideration of addition to Lake Country Lutheran at 401 Campus Drive.
they're on Zoom.
They are on Zoom. This was referred from the Plan Commission. You guys can take it away. I don't, unless any of the other, members from the Plan Commission see a problem with it. It seemed, everybody seemed pretty happy with it.
Yeah, they addressed all of Ryan Atman's concerns. They're working with staff on everything. There's no issues from any staff. It's just an addition. That's what I'm trying to pull up for you guys here. So pretty straightforward. Adding additional parking. The goal is, you see the area to the north by the football field. There are people that park on the street. So they're trying to just add more parking for that. And all of this will be done within ADA compliance for a number of new spots with ADA requirements. So I don't know if Pete Schneider on Zoom has anything he wants to add, or if you guys have any questions, there is somebody on Zoom.
Nothing to add from my end.
I'll make a motion then to approve the addition to Lake Country Lutheran at 401 Campus Drive.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the addition at 401 Campus Drive. For Lake Country Lutheran. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have review and consideration of Baker Tilly to do an examination of expenditures of ARPA funds as required by the federal government.
So we received several years ago $975,000 in ARPA funds from the federal government. Whenever you reach a certain threshold, if you reach $1 million, you have to do a single audit. We were just under that, so we have to do what's called an examination, where they have to go through, review the contract, review all the expenditures, make sure everything is legit, so that we properly expended them. So this is, unfortunately, when you get money, it's one of the requirements that you have to have an audit done to make sure everything was done properly.
Anybody have any questions on that? This is saying consideration to do that, so we're just directing them?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve Baker Tilly to do an examination of expenditures of ARPA funds as required by the Fed government.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to direct Baker Tilly to do an examination of expenditures of ARPA funds as required by the federal government. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have consideration of the 2026 budget preparation schedule. It's always a full slate.
Yeah, so this year is the CIP year, capital improvement discussion. Rick, I know I have a 5 PM start on there. I'm sure we could do 6. Actually, that's a board meeting anyway. So this is the preliminary schedule, and this is where this is the year where we do a 2-year borrowing. So from 5 to 6:30, we usually do a discussion before the board meeting. Is that a possibility if you know well enough in advance?
I will see if I can get coverage.
Okay. Because that's when we have Rupert and Milky come in. They explain all the roads, everything like that. So once we get that direction, that leads us into the rest of the budget process. Because in May, June, we'll start going through all the streets and doing our PACER ratings and coming up. If you guys recall, a couple years ago, you said the main thing you wanted were the main arteries. That's why we're doing West Capitol. We're doing some of the main roads and some subdivisions, but we don't know what we'll be doing yet in 2026, 2027. So that's kind of the main date for that. Does anybody have any problems with any of those dates? I essentially flip the calendar, move the date. It's always the same days, dates. You can see the village board workshops I got at 6:05. The only weird one is at July 20th because it is a village board meeting, so we try and do it at 5 to 6:30 and then do the village board meeting if it's possible. But if anybody has any issues with those dates.
Make a motion to approve the 2026 budget preparation schedule.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2026 budget preparation schedule. Any discussion?
Yeah, my only comment, if there's a date that doesn't work, remember, if you can't make one of the budget workshops, you can always meet with those departments. We've had it. I mean, everybody has real work outside of here, so it does come up, but those are the dates that we have for now.
There's another one I'm gonna bring up. In the past, do you guys like how we've been doing it now? And I'm kinda asking.
Budget?
Yeah, so in the past, they would, it's okay for me to just say it. In the past, they would break it up into groups, but it was much smaller groups. And I just, anybody that would wanna meet with Ryan to really go over and ask questions, please take the time to do that. They used to meet in smaller groups, and I mean, it's not fair for me to just say it was just so that they didn't have to deal with open meetings, but there's times where when people are meeting, it was a more intimate setting, like in a conference room upstairs, where they're able to say, hey, can you tell me more about this? I don't know about this, but sometimes when you're sitting in a meeting and the room is full and you're going through a meeting or whatever, you know, people aren't able to ask the questions or really focus the time on something that they might want to learn about. So I wanted to, if you guys ever wanted to go back to that, we could, but I do want I want to stress that everybody does have, if there's something, I just want everybody to know that they can go and say, hey, I want to sit down and I want to talk about this. It's not like Ryan's going to come and be like, hey, I met with so-and-so because they didn't know about, I mean, I call and ask Ryan budget questions all the time. There's times I've been right, like on TIF 6, I'm like, there's got to be a way to redo that where the land is put in, and there's times that I think I know, but I run it by Ryan and we go find out, and then I'm not right. So I just want everybody to know that that option is there, or even on the phone. I just want you guys to know, because I don't want anybody feeling like the only time that they can call and ask is like when it's an open meeting, so.
Yeah, we used to do it, the village administrator, myself, would meet with 2 or 3 board members at a time and go over the whole budget, so just, it kind of went to this to become a more public, open method for it, so.
Right. So, okay, we have a motion on the floor, correct? Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, now we have consideration of board, commission, and committee appointments as presented by myself, Village President Pfannerstill. We have the list that's in front of you. If you guys want to pick them out, we can.
With that list, the only ones we don't have are the board of review, who the citizen and village trustee would be. But we have to do the next meeting for the meeting to adjourn.
Right. Which one do we not have?
We have to reappoint the board of review every year. I think,
Yeah.
who was it? Ann was on it last year, and
Yep.
Tim?
Year before.
Last
what?
2 years.
Yeah.
Who's our citizen member?
Those two.
Tim, would you like to do citizen member?
We meet one time, right, in July or something?
Yeah.
Usually we would meet like at the next meeting no, it's before July, isn't it?
No, we meet to
It's not-
adjourn, and then the board of review is July or
June
June.
12th is Board of Review,
And
5 p.m.
if there's somebody else that's
No, I
interested
just
in
wanna make
being
sure
on
I'm
that, it's only a
available.
one-time deal. You do learn a lot about the properties in Hartland, I can tell you that.
That's
Correct.
fine, I'm available. My busy work schedule.
Didn't you do trustee last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Oh,
I
I
thought
was
you were
gonna say-
saying you wanted to do it too, like you wanted to do the citizen.
No,
but there
no,
was
no,
only
no,
one.
no, the trustee I can do.
So trustee Walschlager fills that village trustee slot. Tim Hallquist does the citizen member. Is everybody good with that? If someone's interested in that, I mean, please say so.
You can just show up and,
Huh?
you can just show up too, right? If- just
Oh,
from- From
absolutely.
an education standpoint.
Absolutely,
I can look
absolutely.
and see if I wanna try it once, but I.
It's unfortunately, it's typically starts at 5. That doesn't mean it couldn't be pushed till later, but usually it starts at 5, which is tough. So, okay, I'm trying to think of any others. I do like to announce stuff. So we got Delhart is the same members that were on before. Elise Miller's going to Hartland Public Library. That's a reappointment. Tim Hallquist is putting in another 30 years on Park.
Still vacant, right?
Yeah, Tim Hallquist until 2055.
Right.
Shantae is on Park. Oh, that is, Shantae was up. Okay, Shantae is going back to Park. Rob Little for Police and Fire. And then we do have a vacancy on Plan Commission. You know, if someone does have someone in mind, you can ask them to fill out a form with the village and, you know, have them give me a call and I'll talk to them. I mean, I don't hide this, but I mean, I do want it to, that's one nice thing about being the village president is you kind of get to guide that board towards what we want to do in the area. Oh. So anyways, if anybody knows somebody, please don't hesitate to let us know. Other than that, if anybody has any questions on those appointments.
Motion for approval. I'll make a motion then that we approve the board, commission, and committee appointments as presented by Village President Pfannerstill.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the list of board appointments to the different commissions, boards, committees. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have discussion and consideration of rescheduling the May 26th Village Board meeting to May 27th.
Obviously, the 26th is Memorial Day, so looking to go to the 27th.
I'll make a motion to reschedule the May 26th Village Board meeting to May 27th due to the Memorial Day holiday.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the meeting from the 26th of May to the 27th, which is a Tuesday. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have, why won't this thing go away? Stupid thing.
Put it up here.
We got verification of board members completing the harassment training and phishing and social engineering videos. So we said, we used to just send this thing out and kind of everybody, we just didn't keep, it was always done, but we didn't keep as close an eye on it. But we've added to it this whole internet scamming or email scamming or phishing and all that kind of stuff. So, but we just decided that each year we would do that stuff. So since everybody just took it, and those are the members that are on, I really think that now, in my opinion, unless you guys say something different, I mean, this is to verify that people did it, but I want to be forward thinking. If nothing changes on the board and it's all incumbents again, I mean, that's fine, but I think the best thing that we do is just carry it through until, you know, the end of August again. And if, let's say someone decides not to run or something, because it'll be this side of the board next year, then whoever does get elected, it's like, here, we want you to take this so you can have it done by whenever. You guys still agree with that? Good way to do it?
You saying not do it again?
No, I'm saying the next time we do it would be 1 year from now. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be done.
But I'm
every
saying
year.
we do it after the election in case, it
Right,
kind
right.
of sets the standard where it's always right after the election. So if someone did get elected right away, the clerk can say, hey, and you need to do this. It's all part of onboarding. Yeah, so we can just have them do that. So, or right after elections, just plan on doing it, kind of thing. So,
They are.
So to verify, I guess, I don't know how you guys want to do this. Do we all just want to go around one at a time and say aye because we took it?
We signed a form.
Oh, we got our affidavit signed and we're ready. Okay, and you got one from everybody on the board?
Yes, except I have to get Trustee Tretchell's when he,
Okay.
see him next.
But did you get word that he took it?
Yes, he has completed
Good,
it.
okay. Wonderful. Now, do we need a vote on that? No. Now we have a discussion regarding the village board's willingness to potentially waive impact, sewer connection, and/or regional sewer availability charge fees related to Three Leaf Senior Living Project on Campus Drive. This did come up, I just want to add, this did come up at Plan Commission. I kind of agree with what we ended up deciding. Plan Commission decided, someone on Plan Commission, Jeff Bierman, ended up suggesting and saying, hey, you know, we approve the projects and stuff and make sure that architecturally they look good, that they meet compliance, that they're what Hartland is looking for from a building standpoint. This is a financial thing, and just like, you know, we've kind of said to other committees before, like, hey, stay away from the financial and just send that to the village board because we're doing the budgeting and on a much more frequent basis. So it was sent to the village board, but it was presented to the plan commission in the past. The plan commission would vote on that, but I think it was actually kind of a good idea on Jeff Bierman to say, hey, we're plan commission, we're doing the, you know, making sure there's enough lights and that kind of thing, but the finances should be here. So Mr. Ford is here in attendance. I just wanted to let you guys know the background of what was said at plan commission. And Mr. Ford, you have the floor.
Appreciate that. Just before we get into this, I just want to say I'm glad that obviously with the gas leak, everything is all right. And I'm also more glad that it's not further down west on Capitol. Just a quick update, as probably many of you know or have driven by, we continue to make great progress at West Rock Residences. We are on schedule to deliver the first units in June, which will include the front two townhome buildings that you see, as well as the clubhouse. And then we'll continue to deliver additional units thereafter. The first stack flat building, which is the larger 24-unit buildings, the first one will deliver August 1st. And we'll continue to roll those out. Full delivery of that project will be May of next year. I'm happy to report also, I shared this with Plan Commission, that we actually have signed our first leases already. So we're seeing good demand. Long way to go, a lot of units, but we're excited for what that project is obviously becoming. Obviously, Jeff shared with regards to our Hartland Senior Project across from Lake Country Lutheran High School. We were in front of Plan Commission last Monday. One of the things we've always tried to do is work collaboratively with any community that we go in front of. Ryan, if you want to go to, I don't know who's controlling the slides, but if you want to go to the next page there. This is just a quick update on, I know we're not talking about design tonight, but this is just to update you as far as where we're at, what the senior development that we're looking to do, what it looks like. You're probably thinking it looks exactly like we approved last fall, and you wouldn't be too wrong. We did make a few slight modifications that we'll get into in future meetings, but currently we're at 124 total units. If you want to go to the next slide. One of the things that we continue to obviously be excited about for this project, not only to meet the continued demand, but if we look at the statistics for seniors, this will continue to be a growing area going forward over the next 5 years. Wall Street Journal recently had an article just a couple months ago, and really there's a couple things I want to highlight here. Baby boomers that are turning age 80 is expected to grow from 4 million today to 19 million by 2030. So the chart that you see here, the green is what is expected to be delivered in number of units for senior across the country. So today, I know it's a little hard to read on here, but 52,000 is what is delivered, expected in 2025. What's in gold there, 50,000 units is the demand that's not being met. So you can see by 2030, 191,000 is projected to be delivered, but what's not being met is 564,000. These are obviously, staggering type statistics. For Hartland, what does it mean for Hartland in particular? Obviously, having quality senior developments where seniors can live is very key, because really in the study highlighted as well, loved ones want to live near their elders. And if they don't have quality places to live, they obviously will move. We go to the next slide. So since approval last October, we obviously continue to move this project forward. We haven't just been sitting around. But at the end of the day, we got the pricing back on the design and came back much higher than anticipated, given everything that's going on in the world and so forth. So we really dove into it with our entire team and focused on 4 key areas. First, obviously, we looked at construction. How could we value engineer select areas to still deliver a very high-quality product that the market demands or commands, but also to reduce the overall construction costs? We looked at a significant list of value engineer type items. We were able to essentially select 26 of those that made sense for the project, driving down overall construction costs. We then looked at the design side of things. So we obviously tried to lower cost through the construction, but we also tried to drive additional revenue. What we found was the current design had kind of an imbalance between common area square footage for the seniors and rentable square footage. One of the main things that we changed, and it was on that rendering, but on the independent living 4-story section of the building, you may recall we used to have a outdoor rooftop deck and clubhouse up there, which was very, very costly. We turned that space into actual independent living units to increase that rentable square footage. In total, we added 6 additional units to get to that 124 from the previous 118. We also pushed extremely hard on the revenue side to really have a really good understanding from an underwriting perspective of the current market. We had our current market study that we had previously done. We had them update that, and then we also went and got an additional third-party market study to really understand the different rents, the different levels of care, and everything that goes into that. And then last, obviously, we challenged our operators, Cedar Communities, to push for even added greater efficiencies from an operating expense standpoint. In total, we were able to reduce the overall cost of the project when you add all these together, about $25,000 per unit. So I guess, what does that mean? We've tried to push everywhere we can. Obviously, this is a very challenging site, but in order to make this a financially feasible project to actually get out of the ground, we still have a gap of about $800,000. Speaking of site challenges, one of the things we talked about with Plan Commission was the challenging site. Obviously, this is not like West Rock. I'm not going to say it's that challenging of a site, but it does have a significant amount. So one of the things we talked about last week was quantifying that. This chart comes directly from Catalyst Construction, our general contractor, basically highlighting the challenges comparing this site versus other potential sites, but things like grading, the fire lane that goes all the way around the building, stormwater infrastructure, additional building facade, and so forth. Total impact, just over $500,000. The next slide has the site plan. Just to refresh your memory, Campus Drive is on the left. Highway 16 is down on the bottom. One of the things that makes this site challenging is the quitclaim deed line that literally goes straight north and south, right in front of the building. The building has to remain entirely to the east part. There's the line, yeah. So the building has to remain all on the east side of that quitclaim deed line, hence some of those additional expenses. Impact fees. This, we worked with Scott to come up with this table here. But essentially what it says is the top portion is your impact fees as stated in your code, $205,000. The middle portion there is the sewer fees, which includes both the Delhart as well as the village and regional sewer fees, which total $1,061,000 for a total impact fees of $1,265,000 for that. The Delhart fees, just highlighted over on the left-hand side, total about $570,000 of that total. So the other portion is just short of $700,000. This project, obviously, 124 units. If you just go to the next slide. Looking at taxes and what this project will produce, not only obviously an amenity and meeting strong senior housing demand, but for this site, we have 124 units. We are estimating that the assessed value will be about $25 million. The site itself is about 3.76 acres. If you take the average single-family home value that we just pulled from the 2023 census data, is about $358,000. We took 90% of that for an average assessment ratio to get your average tax assessment on a single-family home of about $322,000. Therefore, to compare apples to apples, what we're getting at here is it would take about 70 single-family homes to equal what the senior development is going to be paying in taxes. You'll see on the bottom there, that's about $68,000 per acre that we're paying in taxes versus on a single family per acre, about $7,000. The other thing that we talked about last week, and we dove into it and want to just bring back this additional data, was getting at the utility usage analysis, so your water and your sanitary. This comes direct from our civil engineer, Trio Engineering, along with our operator, Cedar, but really looked at the water and sanitary use, where they compared as is, the 124 units, and then substituting out for the independent living units, the 84 units, which is that, substituting out single-family homes. To really said another way, this development is using about 37% of the utility usage that a single-family home does. So just in summary, on the next slide, Ryan. Obviously, you know, your comprehensive plan, we talked about seniors, obviously key. Families want to live near loved ones. Not having these options can really have a trickle-down effect. Senior impact fee usage, there's a bit of an imbalance. The impact of senior living on libraries and parks for our particular use would be minimal. This development, as I said, 37% of utilities that a typical equivalent single-family subdivision would use. The tax impact, this development would generate about $60,000 more per acre compared to single family. And then the construction impact from a site work perspective and the challenges that we're dealing with, obviously about $500,000 or just north of that in additional site work. So in an effort to try to find, you know, a solution and get to a financially feasible project that we know we can get in the ground, we would propose what you see on the left-hand side of this slide. So you have the total estimated impact and sewer fees at $1,265,000. We would propose that the developer pays $882,000 of this. That is the full impact fees, excluding the library and the parks, just because the seniors obviously are not going to be using those like everyone else would be. But that would then also include the full Del Hart sewer connection fees. And then we would propose paying our proportionate share of usage, that 37% of village and regional sewer connection fees. So the difference is what we're requesting for a waiver of $382,000, which would only be the library and park impact fees. And then obviously the portion of the utilities is 63%. That we're not using and compared to a single family home that uses all that.
A little bit of background, the Planning Commission asked, you know, to kind of come up with something like this to present to the board, to see if there's no vote on it tonight, but it's to see if there's an appetite, because this is something they're asking for. So if there is an appetite, it would go back to Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission would continue that route. If there is no appetite for it, I don't know if they would go back to Planning Commission to amend the units, or, you know, they're just trying to, Planning Commission wanted to see if the board had an appetite for something like this. I'll let you guys.
I do have a question. Wasn't last week at the Planning Commission that the total amount was like $570,000? $695, and now it's down to $382?
Nope, so he's going down to 382, because remember that's at the meeting you guys said kind of quantify how, so this is what they're quantifying is what they want to see if you guys.
Yeah, the 695 is still there. That's the Hartland portion of it. The 500 and change is the Del Hart portion. So the total hasn't changed, the 1.2 million. But what we went back, obviously, the concern from the Plan Commission is we don't want to waive these to set precedents. We can understand that in the effort to work collaboratively. We went back and really tried to drill down, how much are we really using of these impact fees, of the sewer fees in particular, and it's essentially it's 37% compared to a single family home. So what we're proposing is we pay what we're using, the 37% of the sewer, of the regional and sewer portion of that, and then obviously also the impact fees.
I'm good.
I do like, I mean, I want to say I do appreciate it because it came to Plan Commission. I mean, I appreciate it coming up. I know originally, and Tim, I think you're right. I don't know what the exact number was, but it was around 600,000 to waive, you know, all of it all together and
Yeah, that's the 695.
To have the developer and to have Three Leaf, you know, acknowledge that there is usage there. One of the things that was talked about at Plan Commission was, I don't know all of them that are included, so correct me if I'm wrong, Plan Commission fellow members, but they talked about like Mary Hill and other developments where they had paid the fees to have it all go in kind of to a kitty for upgrades that will have to be put in down line for the usage that's caused by additional developments going on things. I'm really happy that you went to the 37%. It at least, as opposed to just saying just waive it. I think that I would agree with the assessment to some extent. I don't know that much about this, but I would agree that it definitely uses less water. So just wanted to touch on that. What do you guys think? Anybody else?
One question I have, excuse me, I wasn't at the planning commission, but how did you come up with the 37? And how do we know how accurate that is based off of what data?
That was primarily driven from, Trio is our civil engineer. These are industry statistics for senior as compared to industry statistics for single family. So, and obviously, you know, you don't have nearly as many people in a senior as you do in a single family home, right? So you've got on average, and they've got a further one-page summary that's on that slide, but the single family uses on average 3.5 people per home. The independent living on average is 1.2, right? So you're not comparing, you don't have the same size, the same usage.
Right, I get, okay.
And that's obviously, but their statistics are industry, and we can get Trio to connect with Rigor Milky or
I was
whoever
gonna
to get
actually
further
say,
detail.
based off of our utility billing, most seniors are in that 8,000 gallon per quarter, and single family with one child is like 16 to 20 when you're talking several high school kids.
That's what I want to get more statistics accurate in our area to see how that compares to the average, so it
I would
does
think
kind of
it's
hold true.
pretty close based off our meter reads quarterly. Seniors generally use, some use under the minimum, but they still have to pay a minimum bill, just the cost. That is, now again, I mean, theoretically, and I'm sure we've all had somebody in a senior home, you're not generally doing your dishes because you're going down to having meals. Some of them may or may not do laundry. The facility may do the laundry. I don't know.
Right.
So
And just to clarify too, that does take into account all the employees at the senior. So we estimate a staff of about 40 people. They take all the full-time equivalents into that calculation, as well as those living there as well, in total.
the question I have to ask, is there a sprinkler system going to be put in?
Yes.
So then the grass will be watered daily, though?
Oh, you're talking, I thought you were talking.
No, I'm
the
talking
building.
like watering outside.
Right now, we have a sprinkler system targeted to be put in the front of the building. Not all the way around the building, though.
When you were talking about, like, the seniors don't do their dishes probably as much in the laundry, but if it's still done there, it's still being done probably in a massive washer or dryer. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, but we have to look at it, I think, a little bit more in detail. Because if you've got a single family, like with 2 kids or 1 child that lives on, let's say, a half acre versus this whole building on, was it 3.765 acres, and you've got 126 people all flushing their toilets. I mean, the fees are the fees, and I'm not gonna go into the whole thing that I went into at the Plan Commission, but the impact fees and the expenses are there, and I don't think it's fair for us to have our taxpayers pay it. And these fees were there when the developer was given, I assume you were given this land, you didn't purchase it, is that right?
We still have to purchase it. So
Oh,
Lake
so
Country.
you are buying it?
Sure.
From-
Lake Country Lutheran is contributing the land into the deal as an equity stake in the project, but that doesn't mean we can't, that doesn't mean that we don't factor anything in for land. We still give them a market rate payment for that.
Our utilities do not come free to any business or citizen in this village, and they're pretty basic fees. And I know that people on the Plan Commission and, were not in favor of waiving this, but, was at least the impression I had. So I don't think we should waive it. I am glad to see you came down to 37, or you paying 37% and then us the 63%, but still, I don't think that's good for the village to do that, because then we're gonna have to do it for everybody. And I don't think that's what we're here for. That should be part of the development cost. And then I'm done.
And I'm not actually asking to waive fees. I'm asking for us to pay what we should pay compared to a 3.5 person single-family home versus a 1.2 person on average senior unit that uses 37% of the total utilities. So your fees that you charge is on a single-family equivalent at 3.5 people on average. What we're proposing has a much lower density for number of people, much lower utility usage accordingly, right? Obviously, if you have 3.5 in one house and 1.2 in a senior independent living unit, you're gonna have naturally much less. So we're paying what we're using. What we're asking for a waiver of is just not paying above what we're using. Because right now, we're being charged essentially the same fee that a single-family home having 3.5 people on average is paying, when we only have 1.2 people. So it's not really I guess you can look at both sides, but we're paying what we technically should be paying based on use versus paying the higher amount, which is a general category for single-family.
But again, if you took a single-family home and you just started stacking them on top of each other like train cars, you know, it would be different too, just like when you have, it's like a hospital almost, you know, with the rooms, all the different floors and all the people in that just under 4 acres of land. You've got at least 126 people. I mean, that's a lot of flushing and a lot of sinks, laundry, I mean, it's a lot of utilities.
So this calculation takes all of that into account. These are industry standard statistics.
So are you saying that the village is overcharged, that our impact fees are out of line, they're too high for
Because you're
everyone?
comparing two different uses that have significantly less occupants in the senior, correct?
Well, okay.
So, just to play devil's advocate, if we have a family that moves in here with 9 children, should we charge them a higher connection fee since they're using more water and more utility than the 2.5 person family?
They will pay a lot more.
No, for the connection fee, they would pay the same as everybody else does. So should we, hey, hang on a minute, they got more kids, we gotta charge them more. Or if somebody moves in all by themselves up the street, they're gonna go, why do I gotta pay the full connection fee? I'm by myself, I'm a 1-person home.
Well, I think that's why they said the one fee per residents.
Right, and that's a point I'm making, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
So you think we should just have one fee for the whole building then? Oh,
well, per resident, but
oh,
why would we make an exception? I understand it. I understand everything you just laid out in front of us. Why wouldn't we make an exception though for this, but not for somebody who moves into town living by themselves and buys a house and builds a house and needs a connection? We're gonna pay them the full 100% fee. We're gonna charge them the 100% fee like we would everybody else. And we're gonna charge them 37% because they're gonna use less water. I don't know. I understand it and I understand the need for it for your situation, but I don't think I'm sold on it.
I think the difference with this property, this is just my opinion, but the difference with the property is that for its entirety, it only can be used in one way, where a home could be sold, and then there is two people, everything comes out in the wash. You could have Pfannerstill house where they're blowing through the 200 gallons of water, which I guarantee you we did, or however much, 20,000, 25,000 gallons per quarter, but, I'm just saying I can understand the numbers. I think it's a good project.
Yeah, it's a valid point, Adam, and I don't have a magical answer for that. I would also suggest so that on a 4-acre, just less than 4-acre parcel here, we're providing a tax base that increases by 250 to 300,000. That would take probably 50 acres of land on the average single-family type subdivision, which is gonna have roads, infrastructure, snow plowing, garbage collection. We have none of that. We're trying to find a solution because right now we don't have a financially feasible project.
Pickup. 90% of, now just so to clarify, I know you mentioned, and all I'm doing is I'm kind of regurgitating what happened at Plan Commission, because a lot of these things were talked about. He's not here right now, but Ryan from Rupert Milky, a lot of what Ryan said was downstream was on sewer. It wasn't so much on, it was not so much on water usage, especially like sprinklers. They don't even put that into our balance for sewer when we're getting our water bill, because it's just gonna fall into the ground. You shouldn't be charged sewer on that. So I just, with most, I do agree with the numbers just by looking at them, having had the kids when they were living there. I do agree with, and having a mom that lived in, she's passed now, but there's no doubt about it. There's times where those people live their last 3 months of life, they don't even want to do anything but suck on a sponge. And I'm just saying that's the truth. It's unfortunate, but there's no doubt about it. It's not like all of a sudden it's like, no, they're drinking water like they're an athlete. It just, there is no doubt about it that the sewer is not the same. You're talking memory care where you're having some people that need to go in for baths. And I am agreeing with you, John. There's no doubt that the impact on those things that you had laid out is less. They're not going and using the parks. It's kind of its own little facility. I'm not trying to advocate too much. I was happy that they came up with what they did, because originally they were saying, hey, could you just waive everything because we're really having a hard time getting the project done. I'd hate to see it die for lack of, just because things have changed. I understand that sucks in economy. I do think it'll be good for Hartland, but I guess that's the most that I'll say, because I do think it's a coin flip. I think they've shown that they're doing a good job in Hartland, like there. I'm not saying nothing will ever be developed there again, but it's just kind of a decision that we gotta make. I don't think it sets precedent, because it is a very unique living style. I don't foresee a bunch of these going up in Hartland. I think now we would be about at our number that I would like to see personally. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm very happy to see that you came up from originally what you had asked to just waive it all and to actually put it on. That's just me.
I'm personally not shutting the door to the idea. I think that a conversation could be had, and I'd be willing to hear more and learn more. I don't, the sprinkler idea Ryan brought up here a few minutes ago, like, that's something that I'd like to understand how much water gets used in that and what aren't we thinking about. But I think what was presented makes a lot of sense too. I just, it is. But I appreciate it, and I understand the need as well, and I do think it's a great project. So personally, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd personally be willing to talk more and explore this further.
Yeah, so this project we'll go to the Plan Commission.
Do you have anything though?
And that's all I'm just trying to say. So this would go back to the plan commission, May 19th. After that, it would come, I think we were talking about a joint village board meeting on the 19th. And then a meeting, was that May 26th or 27th now? I'd have to look. 27th. In order, so this is amending the plan unit development to add the additional units. And then I think you're not voting on this today, but he's trying to determine if you guys have an appetite, because obviously they're trying to see what they can or can't do with their project going forward. They don't want to get to June, you guys say no, and then they're like, well, we can't do it. So I don't know if everybody just wants to say,
I want to say one more thing
Go
after that I remembered from the other meeting. One thing that was brought up also was that with that facility being for seniors or people that are disabled or older people, will say that, that ambulance calls will probably increase because our senior facilities we currently have get a lot of calls. Sometimes it's just a person that's fallen out of bed and they don't have the staff to put them back in bed. But with the number of beds for this facility, it was brought up that we may have to hire another full-time fire or ambulance firefighter. And they were asking what's that cost, and I believe it was $100,000 to $120,000 with all the benefits. Is that right? 100,000. And on top of that, it was, I can't see having this project. What is the total construction cost that you're at right now? Was it 47 or 40 million?
Total development cost is right around 47. 47
million. That $47 million project that you would stop it for only 382,000. That seems very silly.
That's not, the total gap right now is 800,000, just north of that.
Well, I'm talking about the fee that you want us to waive.
Understood. So even if we get to an agreement on the waiver of this 382, we still have more work to do to make this. So, yeah, that's why we're asking for the 695. We went back, pulled some of those statistics. We want this to be collaborative. We want to come to a solution that works for both sides.
And can I jump in for a second?
Sure.
Because I do want to say something I want to make sure not to forget, and I don't want my, mind that forgets things to all of a sudden forget. So I do want to and I'm doing this in all fairness.
Get a room ready for him.
The reason I'm doing this is I understand it's an individual one-on-one basis, but because it's a developer that's already working with the Village of Hartland, which we're going to be working with for a long time, I just want to make sure that everything is really out there. And how much money, because you didn't say it and I didn't say it, but how much money, you had proposed it or you had shown it at the Plan Commission meeting, how many different architectural changes and how much money was saved before you came to the village board? They pulled a bunch of brick off.
yeah, so they're here.
Oh, they did, okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's
Okay, sorry about that, my bad. I just wanted to clarify that.
Obviously, we added 6 units, so it's hard to get,
Yep.
but we've cut in total about 25,000 per unit, which gets that $3 million number. We have been working feverishly over the last 6 months to try to find solutions to not get to this point. The site challenges, there's only so much we can do, and we feel we even looked at redesigning the building in total. But then you can't get the density, and it's just, you push here and it comes out of this side, and it's, so yes, we have spent a huge amount of time trying to find solutions to not have to ask for this. But at the end of the day, we also know that it's a significant benefit to the community, tremendous impact, a lot of tax economic impact, and we're trying to see both sides, and that's why we came up with basically paying more of the exact utilities that we're using in the development versus more of the average single family, and I certainly understand what you're saying, Adam. If there's another way to come about, we're all ears. We've heard the argument about additional calls. That's why from emergency personnel, I'm not going to sit here and say there'll be less or more. I think that's a standard sometimes out there in the industry. I think some operators, you're probably going to have that just call all the time. I would challenge anyone, Cedar Communities, obviously in West Bend, has been doing this for 75 years. They know what they're doing. I would not lump Cedar Communities into the average, but that's obviously a hard statistic to kind of argue. But that's also why, and that we kept in on the impact fees, the fire and emergency personnel. We're not asking for a waiver of that. Because we know there's, obviously you have seniors, you're gonna have some calls. But they're not gonna be, going for a run through the park. Or likely not using the library, because we're gonna have those types of amenities in the development. So we look at both sides. We always try to see any community we do business in and see how do we come to a solution for the betterment of both sides.
Tim, do you want to take?
Well, at the planning commission meeting, we advised our inspector to generate some surrounding community impact fees. Ryan, do you have that?
Not on me, but yes.
Do we want to discuss that? Or
The point of it was to say that all our area is generally about the same.
about the same? Okay, I just wanted to bring that out to people that
Yeah,
aren't
ours
aware of
are,
that.
ours are significantly higher, and that's because we have Delhart. And that's not a bag on Delhart, but there's our connection fee and then the sewer fee, connection fee to Delhart.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know if you have it at all, but I mean, it's great what Scott pulled. I mean, Waukesha, as an example, impact fees, yes, they're pretty similar, right around a couple hundred. They have a range here, I don't know why, for the range. But for the utility fees, Waukesha is $316,000 for the same equivalent, right? So we're on this project slated for $1,061,000, and Waukesha would be $316,000. Delafield, he had a range on here between $500,000 and $1 million. I'm just talking the sewer connection fees at this point. Oconomowoc was $683,000. Although Oconomowoc has a moratorium on any rentals, it's kind of a moot point at this point because they won't approve any multifamily or rental type housing. Menominee Falls, the sewer connection fees was $354,000. So there are multiple communities that are $300,000 to $400,000 versus, we're north of $1 million just talking about the sewer connection fees.
And that, I mean, everything he's saying makes sense, and I kind of wrote this for Jeff. I mean, we can all chat all we want. They gave a reasoning for behind what they're looking to waive. I think what I'd like to see is you're not voting, but each of you say whether you may have an appetite or not, because they need to have an idea if there is or isn't.
I'll be glad to start. I love the idea. I think it's great use of the property. Our item number 12 that we're going to be discussing here pretty quick, we're going to be asking residents a lot on their tax base, right? So how much more, if we were to approve this, how much more, what's the percentage of that added to the 30 million that we're going to ask the village, or ask the residents for with the new buildings? I mean, if it's not much, then hey, I'm all for it. But if it's gonna be another, $100 or $150 on the tax bill, I can't see doing that. Cause, how much do we wanna push the residents, push the citizens, So I'm not opposed to it, but I guess I wanna see more figures,
Sure.
more numbers.
Rick?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great project. I love the idea too of it being right across from the school. And more importantly, I think it's great for the seniors, since I deal with a lot of seniors, is the interaction with the school. I mean, that brings a lot of youth back to elderly people. It gives them a sense of purpose, to be honest, because I deal with a lot of people that have no family. And so the school thing, projects and being a part of going to plays and stuff like that, I think is tremendous. I mean, it's a phenomenal idea. I do get the thing, to Ann's point, and Ann's about the single dwellings, but I guess I look at this is 126 single entities, or 1.5, whatever it was, 1.2, versus, in a subdivision, you got this many, and maybe 5% of the people in the subdivision are like that. My daughter's going to college, it's gonna be my wife and I, so we're down to that. But 5-bedroom house, you know, so we had 5 kids, you know, so just, it's kind of the odds you play with, you know, give and take a little bit, but this is not, some are 3.5, some are this, they're all considered single, so it's on one piece of property. But I still would like to see a little bit more details to the point, what impact that's gonna have, so when I vote one way or the other, I know what I'm voting for and what negative or positive that it's gonna have on the taxpayers. But I'm definitely all for it and wanna, so I guess I have an appetite to keep going.
Okay.
I think it's a fabulous project. I have from the beginning. I just don't want to waive fees that, because things have to be paid, the connection fees have to be paid by somebody, and I don't think it should be taxpayers, which if we waive it, it's not our money, it's the taxpayers' money. But I think it's a fabulous project, and I would love to see it go forward.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I have an appetite for further discussion. I'm all in for negotiating with all the facts on the table, so I certainly would like to learn more.
I think it's a great project. I too have worked with seniors 55 and older and been in a building and know that they don't use as much water, but I do want to know more and the cost of everything, especially with future projects coming up. So I'm not against it. I think it's an amazing opportunity.
So thank you to all of you for giving your opinions. I'm also open to continuing to talk about it. I am happy to see now that the number did show up, that there was $3 million in things that were cut instead of just coming to the board. I do appreciate that, as we have had it happen before where someone will come forward and just be like, hey, can you do this? Otherwise the whole project's junked. To actually go and do that work, I do appreciate that. Along with that, I appreciate you getting the details and the information that you did to present to us to make it more understandable and even try to show us, you know, the differences in usage. I did want to ask, the tax amount was shown, the per year anticipated tax amount coming in. What do you got? 256,000 a year?
That wouldn't go to the village.
That would not?
No, so you really think it's only 25? You only think it's 25 assessed, even though there's, what did you say, 40 some?
46 and change. That's total costs. But there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously, that doesn't get factored into an assessed value.
So
It's in that range of probably 20 to upper 20s. Yeah.
they come up with a mill rate based off percentage. So the village portion, if it's 25 million, you take 25,000. I'm using a mill rate of 4.2. We're at like 3.9. It's like 100,000 a year we would get.
I'm sorry, how much?
100,000.
A little over 100,000. So to everyone in like the schools, all aspects, county, all of that, the tax rate's like $11 and $12, and ours is $4.
To put it into perspective, and most people can remember how big it was, and I'm just trying to use some of this to put it into perspective. It's probably not at that amount now, but I bet you it's not much over that, considering that they sued us. Riverwalk development, the entire Riverwalk development is worth 13 million, unless that's skyrocketed since then. I'm pretty close.
About there. Yeah.
$13 million. So all of that work that was done on Riverwalk to create a hustling and bustling downtown and create that tax base to help us pay for the new buildings that we're about to hear about. 13 million, this is worth double that. And we paid 1.75 to allow Riverwalk to come in so that we could have people living there. Just throwing it out there. And one of those buildings is a commercial full building right now. Not people living there, but you know, it's a commercial building. So I'm saying that just to put into perspective that that's 1.75. And that was a really tough project. I'm not necessarily comparing apples to apples here, but I just wanted to put it into perspective to people because I want people to know that it's not that outlandish. Because, I mean, of 1.75 million, which actually, and Ryan will back this up, was, I believe, about 2.42 or 2.3 million dollars that the village taxpayer paid just to be getting tax revenues on 13 million. The person in front of you gave up 3 million already and is asking if you could waive part of the fees so that they're only paying their portion, which sounds like we're waiving it, but that's only a one-time fee. And then you're gonna be collecting taxes at 100,000 a year, which is more every single year than you're getting from Riverwalk. And your village taxpayers right now are covering every cost of every single thing that has to do with the municipality that has to go into Riverwalk because it's on a TIF. So that tax money doesn't come into the rolls, it goes in to pay things back. This money starts paying immediately when that building opens its door. I just wanted to put that into perspective because I think we have to think about that.
And real quick, the last comment I heard a couple people say, like, so if you waive some of the sewer connection or regional sewer availability charge, there's no taxpayer money that's being paid to make that up. Those connection fees, we don't pay for anything. They're doing all the connections into our sewer. It's the cost of them being able to hook into our sewer. And the regional sewer availability charges their portion of future upgrades to the system when and if it's needed. So if you recall, in the quarry where it needed sewer upgrade, that's part of the TIF. The TIF is reimbursing us to pay for that sewer upgrade. Here, there's no sewer upgrade that's needed downstream, but that RSAC regional sewer availability charge would go into a fund to help pay for future upgrade. There's no taxpayers are out any money by waiving or not waiving. That's all. I think
I think we have.
are you at a comfortable point to move forward? I mean, there is.
Yeah, I guess I would just ask, and I think I heard from a couple, what's the impact to taxpayers? What additional information can we provide so you guys can make an informed decision? If there's, and if you don't know right now, obviously I can connect with Ryan, but I just want to make sure we continue to provide as much information as we can so you can make that informed decision.
That lines of communication open, that if someone emails Ryan or that we can get an email to you right away, that let's say it's Rick because he's running his business. I mean, not that anybody else isn't, but it's tough for him to get away. That if him or, well, even Tim, just because, I mean, Tim's a busy guy too, or Ann, if people want to get questions to you, that you can contact them and talk to them.
I personally think we could have Chief Chamberts or Deputy Chief Sharp possibly reach out to your, what's the one in Oconomowoc? Some of the senior facilities to see what the call rates are.
Evan. Evan. The senior in Oconomowoc?
Yeah.
Evan.
No, the huge one. Regardless, reach out to some of the senior facilities in the area, because the problem we have in Hartland are the facilities, like Ian said, where somebody.
It is true.
Somebody falls and they call us. We're looking at ways to remedy that. I know where my mother lived, there was never an ambulance there, and and they actually didn't want to call the ambulance because they didn't want to bill. But maybe we'll talk with Chief. They're obviously at a gas leak currently, but.
It's different because where my mom lived, they were there constantly.
And this same operator you said is West Bend has the same facilities being operated by that company?
Yes.
I'd like to talk to West Bend.
Cedar
Fire.
Communities.
Okay. Let's talk to West Bend Fire and EMS. I think that's a great idea.
I do want to say, because you guys all have valid points, but even if we don't waive, it has absolutely nothing to do, and those fees can't even be taken to pay for fire.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
And there's fire hydrants already up there.
The project's approved. The only amendment is for 6 additional units and the appetite to waive some of the fees. And that'll truly, the plan commission, I believe, they'll probably agree to move forward the 6 units, which will come to you guys. And then I think they want the waiving of fees to be kind of something that you guys discuss.
Yeah, so it'll just come back to us. Because I think that's the right place for it. The financial part should be at us. Plan commission is there for looking at buildings and making sure codes are followed.
So there's no vote, no?
We don't need a vote because it already goes to plan commission. They could take a vote to stop it, but we don't, it doesn't seem like we have to. So, Mr. Ford, thank you.
Great, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I am having a cigarette before we continue.
Yeah, I have to.
Oh, what do we have? Oh, announcements? Okay.
Me too.
Announcements. We'll do announcements. Chief?
We got a gas leak going.
Oh, okay.
It's done, I heard.
Done, it's capped off. And have him go have a cigarette. So I was right outside of the Phoenix
since that has been changed over through the Wisconsin Surplus Auction website. That vehicle was a little over 8 years old, had like 85, 86, 87,000 miles-ish, somewhere just under 90. And it ended up selling for $10,175. We also had an old ink fingerprint table that we no longer really use because we were on that live scan digital fingerprint machine. We do have a backup ink station in our booking room, so we didn't really need this other portable table. That was sold for $90. And then we actually found some other locks that we'll be bringing to the board that were used in a different program that no longer exists. Those realtor lock boxes that we're looking to surplus and free up some space as well. So that will be coming to the next board meeting. I was able to attend our legislative advocacy days on behalf of the Wisconsin Police Chiefs Association. Met with a couple of the local legislators and their aides and assistants, and talked about some legislation as it affects law enforcement, criminal justice that's coming up. And then also contacted about a possible protest in the area of Arrowhead High School coming up on May 7th. And that's potentially the protest area that the people are organizing is along that sidewalk on North Ave, which will actually be in the village of Hartland proper. So just making some plans and arrangements to make sure we're prepared for that. We have talked with the organizer from that and had some conversations to make sure we're just on the same page with what's allowed and what's not allowed when it comes to obstructing the sidewalk and or street. So we think we have a good understanding. We're not sure what to expect. But if you do see that, that's what that is about.
Good.
I've already touched on the gas leak.
Bark River.
Bark River Bash is this weekend, so bring a full wallet, full cash. People are out selling those tickets for the duck race and different things, so you can grab those from them. That should be a good time, and you'll be able to check out the first run at the beer garden, which I'm sure is going to knock it out of the park. So I encourage people to go check that out. Riley Gaines, when they're talking about the protest, Riley Gaines will be speaking at Arrowhead. What's that date, Chief?
May 7th.
On May 7th. Yeah.
Between 6 p.m. and 7:30.
Yep.
On the 7th.
It's a very well-known speaker. Oh, maybe not to you guys, but it's a very well-known speaker and coming to speak, and she's coming to speak for Turning Point Action at Arrowhead High School. So, very cool to see that happening and for her to be coming in. She's a nationally known speaker, and I believe she was an NCAA swimmer. And she, so really stand up for women's sports is right.
So that's okay.
We got the sculpture, the I Heart,
It'll be up tomorrow.
I Heart, is it ND?
Heart.
ND, LND, I Heart, LND. So the sculpture we've been working on is gonna be at Nixon Park. You can go check that out, go get your selfies, get them snaps out there, throw a couple filters on it, get them out there, see what you like the most. Turn it into a filter, create it, spread it around the world. Greatest place on earth. And congratulations to everybody that just won re-election, and on behalf of myself as a citizen and as the village president, thank you very much for everything you do to make Hartland great. It's appreciated, and Hartland certainly shows all of your efforts and great ideas and hard work.
Do you want to announce we got a big sponsor? Culver's.
Oh yeah, is that for sure now?
Yeah.
Okay, we did get a $15,000 major sponsor. Culver's has stepped up to the plate and is going to, and that's a local business right here in Hartland, our only fast food restaurant, if you would categorize it fast food as opposed to just small business. It is, there are certain places that do name it the #1 burger in America. It is a heck of a good burger, and they got a lot of good stuff other than that as well. So I encourage people to get over to Culver's. I feel like a NASCAR driver right now, but get over to Culver's and make sure you try out every item on the menu. I'm sure you will be delighted. Thank you, Culver's, for that donation and your willingness to want to be part of the community. Many times we have some businesses that are not happy with us because they feel we don't do enough, and I think that that's great that Culver's stepped up to the plate like that. I'd love to see all the businesses in Hartland, large and small, step up to the plate and donate some to Hometown Celebration, because it's a celebration of all of us, including the businesses.
And now we're just.
Recess, because I'm stepping outside.
Yep.
cigarette.
Rick's talking to him.
He's having a cigar.
It's advertised on the. We'll get back to order. Hopefully Rick doesn't get irritated that we would come back to order.
Oh, okay, there you are.
We have Keller here to go over that. We also have our department heads, and some others in the department. But we're gonna talk about this building study. I do have an update though, because I want everybody, I know what we had brought up the word and mentioned Zion, unless there's something that Ryan has to add. There's not any reason putting time into that right now. Okay?
Understand.
So, and I'd like to start with Keller. I don't want any of you, from the departments to be upset, but we have heard the needs, and obviously we've addressed that we do have a need. So I think I'd like to have Keller start and, start going at us. I think,
Show us what you got.
I mean, at this point, I'm leaning towards, I'm just throwing it out there so that you know where I'm coming from, so it's not, because I know sometimes I'm asking questions, you're like, where's this guy coming from? I'm leaning towards that the admin and rec stuff go over towards Hartbrook, and that police and fire go over where fire is. But, go ahead and.
That is an excellent segue. So,
Need the mic, oh, they got one.
green was good. How about now? There we go. So, we're gonna try to make this speedy, so I'm gonna start crossing off stuff that I want to talk about. But, to recap the last meeting and the goals of this meeting. So the goals are to, discuss two options that, Greg had put together. And he is going to kind of do a brief overview. We can look at some of the floor plans. However, I want to make sure we cover everything, and digging too far into the floor plan can turn a meeting into a very long one. So we got two different options. We've got a budget for each of those options, and really looking to drive into possibly one of the two options. I don't think we have to make a decision tonight. I do think it would be helpful to have an open discussion about pros and cons. What I would love to leave the meeting with tonight is some questions, some information, and bringing back some answers to some of those questions that may be had. I know there was a lot of good discussion last time. And ultimately, with the news of the Zion site, Greg focused on two of those sites, which, we'll go through the plans, go through the budget, and then we can kind of segue that into taxes, the impact, and then kind of next steps. So to recap last meeting, we talked about a couple different options. We talked about budgets, we talked about square footage, and we eliminated a handful of options, and some of the options we originally wanted to bring back included Zion. However, like I said, that is no longer an option, or at least for the time being. So as we move forward over the next couple months, I think, in my opinion, getting tough questions answered sooner rather than later, asking those questions. If we don't have the answers today, we're going to bring them back. Looking to probably continue coming to the board monthly for a while. This is a massive project. There's a lot of good discussion that has been had up to this point. So I would really like to keep the momentum going. And again, kind of that overall vision that we've had is, doing construction next year. So that is always in the back of my mind to keep the discussion and keep the meetings going. I do not like the pressure of having to make quick, rash decisions. That's why I'd rather have a lot of meetings and a lot of good discussion. So probably at the end of this meeting, it would be nice to get a meeting scheduled for May. However, I'll kind of tee it off to Greg. So there are two main options. I don't know that the group or anyone has preference. One of them has to come first, and I don't know that this is our recommendation one or the other. I think they're both great options. So both options are using Hartbrook and using Lawn Street. So option A is the public safety building combined at Lawn Street. And at Hartbrook, it is the admin / voting. So when we talk about admin / voting, we essentially remove the original rec portion, so that building got substantially smaller. Option B would be, starting at Lawn Street again, would be the fire station alone at Lawn Street, and at Hartbrook Park, it would be a police and admin / voting building combined. So, and I will get, you know what, I will just jump to the budgets too right away. When we're looking at these different options, when we're looking at Lawn Street, regardless if it's a massive public safety building or fire, you're doing a substantial amount of demo, or you're demoing the whole building if it's public safety, or you're doing substantial selective demo, and your costs are going to be comparable. Hartbrook Park, you're talking about quite a bit of site work. You're talking about repaving and changing a couple things. So,
Sorry, real quick, you flew kind of over that.
Yep.
When we talked at our last meeting, and I think they need to hear it, is that even if we do just the fire only option at Hartbrook, it's essentially tearing everything down.
At Lawn, you mean?
At Lawn. It's essentially tearing everything down and rebuilding. Because you're gonna have to get up to today's standards of the building. So even if you want fire to be the only one there, they're not just gonna shell it. They're probably gonna remove a bunch. I'll let you talk on that.
yeah, so we haven't, we challenged Greg to come up with was a design trying to reuse as much of that existing building as possible. One of the challenges that every single project like this faces is trying to, number one, you're fitting a new design with new site requirements, new building requirements into an old structure that already has block walls. So that's part of it. You're going to lose some efficiencies. The design layout may not work as well, and that may end up costing more money through, number one, goofy construction types or additional square footage to make up for some of the unique layouts. Sometimes you just can't make it all jive, so you end up with additional spaces or corridors or hallways. The other part about that fire station is it is massively not compliant with today's code. So your HVAC, gutted. Your plumbing, you're going to end up changing the layouts. You also have aged, old trench drains. So while you can resave things, a situation like that, I would question if resaving things when you're spending this kind of money makes a good long-term investment. So you're stripping your electrical, your HVAC, quite a bit of your plumbing, you're moving things around, you're tearing all your stud walls out, and what you will likely be ending up with are some masonry walls. You're going to have to change the facade on the outside, a lot of your exterior. So I cannot say one or the other until I really crunch the numbers, but oftentimes there isn't a massive discrepancy. So what you end up with is these two parcels really, tearing a building down is very cost effective. Doing selective demo, tearing out walls, tearing out bathrooms, gets very, very expensive very quickly. So that is at Lawn Street. And then we jump over to Hartbrook. When you have a larger building, if it's police and admin / voting, you're going to have a lot more asphalt, a lot more other things going on in the site. However, with the police drive around and the asphalt and the site requirements at Hartbrook, that would be comparable whether it's at Lawn Street as a combined safety building or over at Hartbrook. And then the construction types themselves, you're talking almost all ground up buildings. The square footages are fairly comparable, and that's gonna be your main driver, is that square footage, and they are very similar. So, option A with a public safety building at Lawn, voting admin at Hartbrook, we are somewhere between 25 and 29 million. Lawn Street as a fire station alone, and then Hartbrook as police and admin / voting, 26 to 30. And that has to do with needing a little additional square footage with option B. But again, I think the budgets are very comparable. So, and I wanted to bring that up, just not to put everyone on the edge of their seat wondering which one, where they end up at. I think they're both very comparable. And then we can focus on the design now. So I can kind of hand it off to Greg. If he wants to walk through this, if you got questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, you wrote option 1, possibly 2-story.
One of the wonderful things I get to do is work on buildings that had possibly not as much forward-thinking planning as I would love. And sometimes you get into situations, so between myself and Greg, we're always looking 50, 100 years from now, how are they going to work with a community that is larger? In order to accommodate a future addition, I don't think you need an addition on the public safety building in 5, 10, 20, who knows what the world looks like in 30 to 50 years. But in order to accommodate that, we may want to go 2-story in order to get some more site for a future expansion. That would be the one caveat to that public safety building.
I also have a question. We just sat and listened to Three Leaf tell us that they put together this proposal and they laid it out for us, and this is what it was gonna cost, and then they had like a $5 million shortfall when they finally got all the numbers, and they're like, crap, we were off on our estimate. Times change, there's all kinds of stuff going on. How confident are you in that budget number?
In this budget range right now, pretty confident. I should rephrase that. I would say, I will use past projects as a comparison. So we had Portage that I budgeted between 14 to 16 million. It came in at like 14.5. Clintonville budgeted between 6.5 to 7 million, and that came in at 6.9. However, the owner did add a lot of things at the end. Viroqua, I budgeted between 9 to 11 million, and we ended up at 9.5. One of the unfortunate things is I don't have a crystal ball, but having gone through COVID, I will never forget some of the meetings I had to go to and explain to people how their projects are no longer affordable and that we wasted taxpayer money and how I am responsible for that. And you now get to reap the benefits of that. So could this come in higher than 29 or 30? I really highly doubt it. One of my frustrations as well is the low end too low? I think the low end's very realistic. I think the high end is realistic if we get hit with some serious tariffs, and if things are not looking good this fall, I think we're still covered.
But he also made a point to us that in COVID, or when times got tough, if things get too costly, all of a sudden these people want work, so things could be cheaper. So it's kind of a catch-22. When COVID happened, you said you had one project that came in over before and under during.
Yeah, I mean, the best time for a municipality to build is the absolute worst time in an economy, and I mean, no different with businesses, but in the midst of COVID, I bid a project out that January, and every project you add a couple alternates in case it comes in a little bit over budget. You can cut some things to get in where you need to be. Came in a little bit higher than we wanted. We had to cut a couple things to get in. Coincidentally, had another project coming out that March when the world was falling apart. We had more bidders on this project than we ever had on a single project. It was not a glorious, wonderful project either. And we came in, I want to say 10% under our projected budget, which was absolutely incredible. So they got to add everything that they had hoped. So it really, while the times, it's not great to be building a project when there's a tough economy. Those who pull the trigger, I mean, they make a great decision long term.
That one's fine. We can start there. So, option A, at Lawn Street, to the Public Safety Building. What do we want to talk about here? So, this would obviously be a tear down of the existing fire station and a complete rebuild. It's drawn as a one-story. Again, what Devin had mentioned, this is a pretty maxed out site as a one-story, and that's why we think about, does two-story make sense to give yourself some flexibility? But it meets all the requirements that we have talked about along the way to design this. So I feel like it's a good option, I guess. I don't know if there's a floor, if you want to pull up the floor plan.
Was this the one that we originally looked at?
This is the one we originally looked at
I would
as
mention that. So originally we had talked about, this is probably 2 meetings ago, this would be that same layout that we went through. So I don't know how much time we want to spend on this one.
right. Yes, shared spaces between fire and police, which makes it a little bit more efficient. This was actually developed a lot further than some of the other ones you'll see. This would really be called the schematic floor plan, where other ones are more of a diagrammatical plan. Yeah, if you wanted to go to option A at Hartbrook.
So one of the things before, while we're moving over, this would be as a shared public safety building. Some of the benefits are some of those shared spaces, like the training room. We will see some of the shared spaces in option B as well with police and admin. However, having shared staff is something that I cannot speak to, but it is something that we discussed when we looked at a shared public safety building, just as a reminder.
Just throwing in for the board, because of those comments that were made of the shared staff and the shared rooms and stuff like that, I mean, I can, with Zion falling apart, I can tell you I'm leaning towards the space at what's currently the fire department, and then admin goes over by the park. And actually, in more thinking about it, I think it just is better with police over where they're at. There's already, that area is already used to emergency vehicles being there. And we're here, we got a park. I don't know how many people would be coming in, going to that park or not, but it doesn't change a lot for the area. They're already used to it. The only thing I was worried about there is the school, but at some point you gotta start a project and decide, but I just wanted everybody to know where I'm leaning.
What's police chief's idea on Lawn Street versus Hartland? The school there and.
Yeah, my concerns I kind of talked about is, yeah, that could be problematic with some traffic during school time. A lot of that is not as bad on Lawn as it is on the other side of the street, but it can still get backed up, but we would have access to both sides of the road there. It would make sense, obviously, with some of that shared space on Lawn, but I do feel like that footprint, I get a little nervous on that footprint. I feel like we're gonna be jammed in there like a can of sardines into that footprint. And that also involves getting that one lot that we don't currently have, obviously. So there's that as another potential hurdle to that, or obstacle to that project. Where I do think Hartbrook offers a little more space, centrally locates us, gives us good access. I go back to access is only in a good thing is if we're coming from the police department, which there's a large percent of the time we're not responding from the police department because we could be out and about. So again, I would conservatively, let's just say, call that 50-50, that if we're even coming from the police department. But that does offer us that Highway 16 access, to get around access, very well centrally located, north and south, so we can get around fairly efficiently. One thing, and I wouldn't call this a deal breaker in any way, shape, or form, it keeps, business operations easier for me to rely on the village hall to do my, any payment processing. So I have all their abilities there, I don't have to do anything down by me, and then have to count a cash drawer and figure all that stuff out on a daily operational basis. And then that comes up 10 cents short, and I'm spending an hour figuring out where 10 cents.
Yeah,
are.
cause right now, if you pay a ticket, something like that, they get a piece of paper, they come up, ask, make the payment, we give it back, they go down to PD, they mark it as paid, they're done. Over there, it would just take a little bit more on, it would be more of a daily, and we'd have to verify.
Statistics.
And with this too, this would even, in the Hartbrook location, we basically are kind of sharing that lobby space. Admin this way, PD that way. So it's just like go across the hall, pay that, come right back, and we'll process it for you. Makes a lot of sense. So those are my only concerns. I think we, as the police department, make either site work very well. We'll be very effective and efficient from either site. Both have pros and cons, but so they're, if I had to pick one, you're like, pick one right now. I like the location of Hartbrook, and I think what it offers to us a little better than it does where we all jammed in under that combined public safety building. So I would probably say that. I do understand we lose some of that combined square footage by doing that option.
To Chief's point, what is the difference in square footage for PD with the shared space at Hartbrook versus the shared space on Lawn?
So I was just trying to figure out on my little phone here, going around.
We'll ask the guys that just know that off the top of their heads.
Option A, with the combined public safety building and admin at Hartbrook, we are at 52,842 square feet. With option B, fire station alone, police and admin, we are at 54,458. So, was that 1,500?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was gonna ask. What's the difference in just the police between the two?
I think that's where that 15, well, yeah, that's about 30.
Similar.
When you're saying jammed in, are you saying it's jammed in the site because of the site, or are you saying jammed in like they're losing square footage and they're gonna be the same space as they have, like?
Because of the site.
My
Okay,
understanding
yeah,
is
where it's,
site
like, it
congestion.
feels tighter because you're going around the
We're
perimeter
at
of the
the
building.
limits of that site. I mean, there's no,
Right, but I'm saying from a department standpoint, the room
would
and
have what we
offices
need.
and all that is all good.
Yep.
It's just that the site's jammed. We're maximizing the site,
You are using every square inch.
kind of like,
So if we have to
well,
hire,
different than it is now. They're maximizing what was once enough space, now it's exploding.
Right.
so if we have to hire another police officer too, I mean,
That's in some of this.
yeah.
I was gonna say, if that,
SRO, which we don't have, and I think that you have a third lieutenant, correct, that we don't, or I thought there's like 2 extra, it's not a ton. Again, we don't know where the future's gonna be in 30, 50 years, that's the hard part with police and fire, in general, so. I think that's why they're saying, if you guys go to lawn, they're gonna have to debate a second floor or something that could possibly in the future be expanded if it would ever need. We don't, he wants something that you build and in 30 years, we're not like, well, we gotta build an addition or.
What I do not want is the, people in 30 years go, thanks a lot, Devin and Ryan, and didn't think that far ahead that we'd ever grow. So, if you got at least 10,000 square feet or something that you can bump out a little bit with, 2 stories, that would be 5,000 square feet of space on the site. I think that would help. It would make me feel a lot better down the road.
for,
2-story.
that's gonna be a heck of an added cost, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
I mean, what type of growth are you anticipating in the police department in the next 30 years? We have 2 police officers, or I think we have 2 per 1,000 right now, right?
we're just under that, so let's just say we'll round down that we're at 10,000 people. We're at 18 officers, so we'd be like 2 short of that formula.
Okay.
And then obviously you got some bigger developments that will start populating here that will bump us up closer probably to that, rounding up to that 11,000 mark at some point.
Right. So we would either need to, there's two things that would have to happen, and this is why I'm not as concerned as you are. Let's say that I went to the town of Merton and said, you know what, you guys need to be like the town of Oconomowoc. You need resources. We need to annex, and then you're gonna enjoy all the resources of Hartland. We're not gonna put those police officers there. We're gonna build another building because it's such a big space. I'm just trying to, I wanna clarify that we don't get too jacked out where all of a sudden we have a huge building where we're not gonna put that building, we're not gonna put those people there anyway.
Right.
And the SROs, they're gonna need to work there some, but most of the time they're gonna be at the schools. I'm just saying, if all of a sudden, if we did that, it would double the size of, no, it wouldn't double, there's like 9,000 over there, but so we'd go from 10,000 to 19,000, but I'm saying even then, obviously there's things that would have to happen, but there's also a lot more people paying for it now where it's like, okay, let's use, I just want you guys to know, it's not like, Hartland is not gonna just keep growing and growing and growing, because the only other way to do that is you're gonna have to find a bunch of 15-story buildings to make the size of Hartland need to double its police force. I'm just,
I totally see where you're coming from.
here comes that tornado, it's sucking the door open.
It's a balance between making sure we're building a building effective for today with a little bit of future growth. However, it's being forward thinking and knowing that we don't know what the future is gonna look like, so let's make sure that in 30, 50 years, they also have some options. But to your point, we're not building a building for an unknown usage. We gotta build it for today's.
If a future expansion in 50 years is needed, Hartbrook, somebody could have a couple of fire vehicles and an officer or two, you know what I mean?
That's all I was, that's all, I mean, I understand that I feel like we're doing a good job at looking for, I don't wanna overdo it where it's like, okay, we're dealing with 25% of the space that we might not use for 30 years.
Right.
Does that, you get what we wouldn't wanna buy, and I know this is gonna sound really bad, we could buy some squads now, we're gonna put them in airtight containers because then we can use them, the people using them would be like, I don't want this.
Right.
Even if you build it now, I'm telling you and I promise, no one's gonna want it in 30 years. They won't.
100%.
They're gonna be like, we don't want it, because there's gonna be other things that we didn't, I don't know what it is, but,
Right.
you know. Sorry, I'm just being honest, because I don't wanna.
It's good. We wanna wrap up.
I'm not sorry, I'm just,
Admin on option
excuse
A.
me.
Yeah, so, option A at Hartbrook Park is the admin and voting building. This one does show the possibility of a future addition there, which could be a rec, component.
So hold on. I pulled that plan up just for y'all to see. There's not a ton of room. That 4,800 square feet has a divider.
Floor plan, yeah, if you wanna go to the floor plan.
I have it. Ben's probably trying to pull it up. These are offices, a conference room. I think we lost our closed session room. We could go into that conference room. So really, it's just literally a square box, kind of how we have now for any yoga, any activities in a community center. Everything we have right now. The same storage that we have for everything. This would obviously be a way to get in, people to vote, get them out, the patio, screen, that all just kind of fits. These offices are no bigger than what they were. But again, he didn't want to get into the weeds of it, I just wanted to show you.
That's the one, Ben. Is that his name?
Yeah, that's the one.
Perfect, thank you.
What? Oh,
No,
fine.
Ryan's controlling that.
I'm doing ours. So I just wanted to show you that, just so you could see on here what that is.
Yeah.
It's got a walk all the way around.
I know people are gonna get sick of hearing me talk. I just want you to be able to hear, and I know I've touched on it before, but I'm gonna say it, because I think it's, these meetings are never fun, because it's like saying things where it's like maybe contradictory to what somebody else says. And to Ryan's point, and even Sandy, I hope, I hope there's no offense taken by this, but I do think, based on the talks that we've had, it does make me very hesitant for joining forces on doing things, not with you, in joining forces. Like, we allowed the whole dance studio downstairs, but now it's basically kind of carried through, like, hey, it pulls in some revenue, so that is, you haven't said we have to do it, I'm just saying, but because we did it, because it was going on and they were losing their space, now we're building a building that has to incorporate it, and I will say on the voting date, I do know it's a lot of extra work. But I do think between teaming up with a school, teaming up with St. Charles,
But I guess in general, you want no community space.
no,
That's
I'm
what we
not,
have.
I'm not saying that,
This isn't meant to be a dance studio, it's just a community center. Yoga goes in there. There's probably 100 programs that are in our community center that aren't dance.
no, I know, there's, the people play cards, and there's, Village does stuff down there, I get that. I just was, yeah, you're right, there is.
Well,
It is a space for the community to go to, where we would have no space at all, and at least here you go to the library and you won't even have that there, so I get what you're saying.
I mean, and it's only 4,800 or?
Yeah,
somewhere in
4,800.
there.
Yep,
You mind if we jump to option
go
B?
ahead, yep, go ahead.
Which one?
Option B at Lawn Street, let's go there.
So the standalone fire station at Lawn Street.
So the
Floor plan or
the site first would be,
I got the site up. That's, Ben's getting there.
yeah. So this is the darker shaded area would be the existing building as it sits, and then the lighter color is the few additions to it. So there's an apparatus addition to the south side, a living quarters addition to the east side, and then a small training tower addition, and I guess a little entry piece. Staff parking on the east side, visitor parking on the west side, so kind of similar to what it is now, a little bit switched around inside. And if we go to the plan view of that, yeah, that one.
I don't have all the plans.
Otherwise, it's up on the screen. You can see the new apparatus bays on the bottom. The existing apparatus bays get converted to some of the larger function spaces, the training room. Command vehicles still utilize the existing overhead doors or openings anyway. And then some of that lobby, more customer or visitor function happens on the northwest side, and then with the offices along that north edge, and then you can see the new living quarters along the east side. And then all the support spaces for the apparatus bay, sort of between there and that block of space that is currently admin and I forget what else is in there, storage and.
Admin, storage, a couple dorms.
So it surprised me how it laid out in floor plan, though back to the site plan of that one, it's pretty tight. You don't have a lot of space to drive around the building. It's not the most convenient. So, I mean, this was the approach of what if we reuse the building? There's always another option, which is a standalone fire EMS on the same site, but in a different location that suits it better for future expansion, for layout.
Why not knock the old building down, even if you're just gonna put fire in the ambulance?
Probably will.
That is certainly an option. We don't like to start that way because some of our goal is to reuse buildings. That's why there's an existing building code. It's a better use of.
But I thought it would get expensive.
Oh,
I think if we are going to evaluate this option, I think that cost analysis has to be done in order, if I'm in your shoes, I wanna see what the discrepancy is.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
cause then you could maybe make it more efficient.
Oh, I agree after what they described last time, I mean, basically it's junk, the code has changed.
Right. There's different demands.
It's not junk, chief, don't take it like that, I'm just saying, if chief doesn't think it's junk, then we'll just leave it
Hey,
as
those are
is.
your words, not his.
I meant that compared to today's code, no one would ever build that building.
Right.
It would be completely different because there's efficiencies and just better ways of building and
The
things
world
that are
is
known
different
and,
today.
and, yep, more protections.
So then we can go to the other option for,
Option B at Hartbrook, which is the combined police and admin / voting building.
Essentially, you take our community center, flip it from police up to the north, and then add police. If you guys recall, police, no matter what building they are, they have to be a separate entity unit, separate walk-in, security with CGIS, everything like that. So no matter where it is, even if they are with fire, they will have doors between them so that they can't just walk through. Same with here.
Yep, this has a separate, yeah, I guess we're on the floor plan. Are you on the floor or on the site plan on your screens? He's on the floor plan, okay. Yeah, and there was a request to have the voting area near the main parking lot, so that easy in and out sort of flow there. I think that works well. The admin area sort of facing the main intersection of the roads there of Ray and Hartbrook Drive. The police tucked back into the site a little bit more. Staff parking for the police department on that backside, separate from the community parking lot. And it's a nice extension of the existing parking area. So I think it works well. Again, it's pretty maxed out. You don't have a whole lot of opportunity to have future expansion there. But it works.
Was there a discussion that I missed where all of a sudden we've kind of compacted the community center? All of a sudden it's nice and small, and I don't recall where, I mean, we initially at Ray Drive, we were going to have a gym. And I know Jeff got on the high horse and said that recreation is a want and not a need. So, is that what happened? I mean, now all of a sudden, we're just gonna have this size room that we have here, and I think that's a bunch of crap, in my opinion. I mean, I think we need something bigger.
the direction that we ended up going, right, wrong, or indifferent, was to scale back in order to reduce the budget, keep the main focus police and fire, and more or less this is accommodating the admin and the voting with a small community space similar to what you have. The gym and a couple other things I can't think of right now were essentially removed to reduce the scope, or reduce the scope, reduce the budget.
Yeah,
That's
so
where we ended up.
The only hard part is that gym that we're talking about is, I think 12 to 14 million was the additional on that. That rings a bell.
Yes.
So that's why this option one, if this is just admin, there's this future addition possibility. I don't know, we find a donor,
If I'm on the park board long enough, I'll donate it.
wrong Hallquist. Yeah, but you know, do we get a donor? Do we get something like that? I don't know.
And I'll agree, like with what Tim said, it is true, we can have it, it's just up to what we want. I know that me personally, I do think it comes down to a want or a need, but Tim is right, that doesn't mean it's off. It's whatever the board decides, like if the board directs and says, hey, we want to see a gym, the board, I'm not in favor of that right now. That's just me, but I'm only one person. After kind of what we had seen, I'm just clarifying that Tim is right. You know, it's just a difference of opinion, but, or on my end, but
I was just brought that up because he was directed on to cut costs and to basically eliminate that space, and I just wanted to know, did I miss a meeting where I was involved to say, hey, no, but apparently it was already discussed, so that's all I'm saying.
I personally think it was too much to chew on for the size department we have currently. I'd love to have it in the future. I just don't know. I mean, 2 staff. Most of these places are much bigger. We have no experience doing it. It's something, we were told a budget of under 29,999,999.99. That is the easiest way to get under that.
So then, great segue. So, tax increase. I can kind of hand it off to, I don't know if you have anything to show or kind of revamp. But again, right now, regardless of which option, I tried to squeeze as much differences as I could out of it, and we end up very close. So I would argue that getting some good questions and feedback from the board. What do we see for typical projects? So when I look, it doesn't matter if it's a town of 1,000 people or a city of 150,000. Well, maybe with a city of 150,000. We'll talk to towns, villages, and small cities. I would say 75 cents to $2 per 1,000 seems to be where we end up. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is really. Moving aside schools, they do their own thing. 75 cents to $2 tends to be where that sweet spot is for public support. Obviously, lower than 75 cents would be wonderful. That does not happen too often unless you get to a community that has quite a few lake homes and you know, massive development. So then that puts, I mean, I don't know if we want to discuss the,
I'm just gonna
the village.
You guys won't see it, they'll see it. We're not at $2. So you guys can see, this is from Ellers. They just ran, so if we did $30 million borrowing at, you know, it's anywhere from 2.7 to 3.9, that's about the interest rates that municipalities are getting right now. So it varies. So they're forecasting about $2.1 million increase per year. So if I take last year's overall levy, down here you're gonna see the village is 3.85. So if I go over to here, and I do plus 2,100,123, we go to 4.96. So about $1.11. That would be the increase. 385 to 496, $1.11 per 1,000. So on a $300,000 home,
$33. I mean,
Yep.
I already did $1 million home is $1,000 or.
yeah, you're adding $110 per 100,000. So that's the cost. How do you avoid that? You know, in some of the next couple of years, you could tone down paving, you know, then you're sacrificing roads to not increase taxes as much. But eventually everything catches up. So, well, we've been here so long,
So that is everything I had to cover, and I know I kind of went through it fast, but I wanted to give the board some time to kind of chat about it. If there's questions, concerns, comments, we can go jump around the plans. I didn't necessarily think going room by room was a good use of time tonight, so wanted some feedback. It would be nice, I think, to come back in a month. I mean, we've been hammering out some new ideas, so it would be nice to make sure that we're keeping the board updated.
do you wanna see what plans?
Tim, do you wanna see it come back with that rec option on there? Okay.
Do you wanna see which plan each of them liked best?
I would love any feedback.
Go ahead.
I like the park option. Just after listening to Chief too, because obviously they matter for what you guys do. The community center, what size is it here currently?
Like 2,600, 2,800?
25-ish.
Oh,
Rough.
roughly.
Late, I couldn't think of the name. I like the Hartbrook Drive idea and then the separated ones. Be nice to see as we go more plans.
I like police and fire on lawn, and I like the admin at the park. Just to me, I think that's clean, it looks nice, it gives police and fire a new space, the shared people in the middle, makes sense to me, shared resources. I understand Chief's point too, though, about shared resources here, having admin in the same building, but I don't care what he has to say, so it's fine.
We'll make it work.
I actually like, I like actually either one, to be honest with you. I think to help, Chief Misko out, you know, go ahead and put the police over at Ray, but, other than that, although we'd have to buy that property, right? If you combined it at Lawn, you'd have to buy
I think
that.
the schematic has that property.
That's
as part of
$6,000,
it.
but it's 45. Yeah. So I like either one, with the gym. So,
That's where I get my basketball
that doesn't matter
courts.
to me.
There's a basketball court right here.
You done?
Yep.
I'm in favor of having the police department at Hartbrook. I think it makes sense, the accessibility, you're very close, you can get on, heading west, you get on up by Walgreens there, heading east. Hartbrook's a nice road to access to get on there. It's not, I don't know how much traffic is there, but, you know, I see the police officers going up and down Capitol, and there's a lot of people there, where this one, there's not as much pedestrian, so I think it's safer for you guys to hit a response and go where you need to be if it's getting on there. More accessibility, I just think it's cleaner and easier for them. Get it, you know, whatever it is, 50% of the time they're already out, you know, patrolling anyhow, but I just think it makes a lot more sense in my mind to do the Hartbrook one.
I agree. I definitely like having the police and admin at Hartbrook. I think especially if you have someone that you've arrested, bringing them in, I just think that there'd be a better opportunity for better accessibility at Hartbrook. I think the other site might be a bit limited. And I think for fire too, if you're on your own over there, you can rearrange it a little bit better for yourselves. 'Cause it looked like some of those turns were kind of sharp for the trucks. And hopefully we wouldn't have to buy that lot. That is so wonderfully priced. But yeah, I like having admin and rec and police at Hartbrook.
I'm good with PD being either, so it sounds like the consensus is Hartbrook, so I'm good with that. My only thought on Lawn Street was that it seemed like it was going to limit how much of the park got gobbled up. But that's okay. The only other thing that I can say is if they go on there, I mean, because we do own that street, we own Hartbrook. I'd at least like to see, and maybe it's a bad option, but I'd like to see an option where PD can, I don't know, do we need to have access off of Hartbrook, or can it only be off of Ray, or do we want them to have access where if they are shooting out? I'm just saying it's something worth thinking about.
Oh, I'm sure they could have.
And maybe it's not a good idea, I'm not up on that kind of stuff, but I'm fine with that.
Put a roundabout there.
There's the door.
You want all 7 members getting reelected, don't you? You're gonna literally come in here and get all 7 members of this board to change in 2 years.
The weird aspect of Hartbrook is.
I work with a lot of
down
public
through
works people, and I have to bring it up.
It's not, everything's possible. No matter what goes on Hartbrook, we have to reline sewer.
Yes. So we're
Right
doing
now,
some serious utility
With
work.
to add to that though, so, and I didn't direct for that not to be part of it at all. I said that I wasn't for it. I don't believe that paying for the gym, especially when like there was the cooking rooms and all of that kind of thing. I didn't think that that was, I just personally didn't think, number one, you gotta have people man it. You gotta have staff to take care of it. You gotta have stuff getting repainted. You gotta do roofs. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into that kind of stuff, and I just don't see the benefit coming back to the village. I could be wrong. Maybe it's totally going to be used. I think that, I don't know how much it would have been used. I thought that it was, as we're struggling to just put the departments we have now, I was against it. That does not mean that the board cannot have that as an option. I just want to, and I did not direct for that not to be part of this. I was very vocal about that I didn't want it, but I did not direct and say, no, don't present.
I would agree with that. I think we were very conscientious based on the last meeting, trying to reduce the scope, reduce options. With the Zion changing everything, we just tried to narrow this thing up as tight as possible. The main focus has been public safety, so how do we make sure this project happens?
So lastly, I guess I'll end by saying, and I think that everyone has done a good job of voicing their opinions and stuff. I get skeptical of these types of things because I feel like we're gonna almost green light here, but I get skeptical with these types of things, and I'll even say to you guys, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but it happens. I always get scared of like when we green light, even when we did this room, like we all thought that all these monitors were gonna be interactive. We're sitting there with $1,800 worth of stuff that just wasn't, it was supposed to, or we thought it was, but the room turned out great, but there's just always certain things, so I always get scared that it turns into a grab bag. Like I see the loungers, I'm like, if I walk in, it's just like movie seating in the lounge. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like, that's $1,200 a chair. But in all, trying to be serious, we do have to do it. And at some point, we're gonna have to do it. Yeah, we're gonna have some people that are all pissed off and saying, oh my God, my taxes went up. But the fact of the matter is, there was things that were done years and years and years ago, like building a new firehouse, that put us where we are now, or deciding to go with, new handguns instead of sticking with the old revolvers. So, it's gotta be done. And, if Chief feels more comfortable over there and the price is so close, then that's good for me. But I think at some point we'll have to hop on the horse and start the ride. 1,000-mile walk starts with a single step, and we've taken a few of them, but we haven't really gotten across the starting line yet, so.
Just for clarity, one more question. The direction that it sounds like everyone's kind of in favor of, that's for the fire department ends up being a remodel, not a ground-up build, so they gotta kind of work within the confines of that initial building, right?
I don't think so.
I think we need to, I guess I'm speaking
That's how it's drawn up.
for everyone a little bit. If I was in your shoes, I would want to see a cost comparison of a remodel, addition versus a ground up. Because I don't know how I would make a decision otherwise.
That's my concern, is if we go with this, based on what's in front of us, fire utilizes the existing building. If that could be done differently so they can build it out how it makes sense, then I'd be more in favor of
Existing
that
building
idea.
still means gutting the whole thing.
Yes.
But it stays where it is. The garages are where they are.
Right, the
The
wall.
brick and mortar
the-
is what the
your-
brick and mortar is. You can't pick it up and move it and change.
Right, your roof
location.
lines are gonna stay,
Yeah.
you're confined within that a little bit.
Where with the police and fire on that lot, the reason I like it is because it's a ground up, you go the whole thing how we want it for both departments. So I would like to see that. If we're gonna go this other route, I wanna make sure fire still ends up with what they need, not getting shoehorned into a building that we already have, because that's an option. we
Right,
don't
that's why I
like.
was saying they may just tear it down and
Yeah.
say rebuild it,
And
because it
that's
sounds like it's.
So the floor plan that you showed,
That's using the existing building is right here.
correct, but look at where the apparatus got moved.
Mm-hmm.
This would be essentially a tear down. Kind of what I'm seeing, with the command vehicles, training room.
That's within the guts of the existing building, but not really saving much except the outside walls.
So that inside garage would still be high ceilings, but
Yeah.
might be the training room with a really high ceiling, things of that, okay.
Exactly.
Well, all you're gonna be left with is those masonry walls and the
all
structure.
the
You're
rest
still
is
gonna have
ripped off.
ceiling tiles, you're still gonna have all your HVAC.
New roof, everything.
Right. So,
You got your answers, boys?
well, just so I'm clear, the shared public safety and admin option, that's pretty well done. sounds like Greg's got some more work for the fire station, fine tuning that. I guess I would like to, sit down with staff a little more and make sure that, these prints are fairly fresh, so, I would like to answer any questions they have, dig into any discrepancies they see, and then, I would think by the next meeting, they may have some more input or ideas or suggestions to the board, and then we could have another conversation.
I would just add, I'm gonna add this, because I always think it's supposed to roll that way. Once you talk with them, then bring that back here. Don't meet with us, then talk with them, and all of a sudden we see something in 3 months and we're like, you put what in? They don't need that. I'm just being honest with you because it's not the right flow.
That's
Make
why
sure that if you meet with them, then the next meeting is to come and bring those things up.
you said that earlier, once a May meeting.
No, I know, I'm making it clear.
We literally have one meeting a month for 2 hours. It's not like we're meeting every day on the phone and
I didn't,
changing things.
I think he knows what I'm saying.
The board is the boss.
Right.
And you're also gonna bring us the comparison for the fire department, tearing it down versus keeping the shell?
Correct.
Okay.
I would like to bring that to the board next month so we can get a better understanding.
But you wanna find a May date, correct?
Yes.
We're all free Memorial Day. Tuesday the 27th an option, same time, same place?
Any other ones available?
12th? Time,
Ooh,
same
that's too
place?
soon.
That's pretty soon.
Soon, isn't
Why
it?
don't we go to June then, the first week of June?
What time would the well, how soon in June?
What's the first Monday in June? Oh, you guys want them on the same day?
Second Monday.
You could do June 2nd. That's a park board.
I'm saying we could
Park
come in
board.
here and meet at, well, whatever. We don't start till 8 anyways when it's a village board, but we could do the first meeting in June.
Could just do it following park board or have,
Or I'm saying, or we could do the first village board meeting in June and try to push everything that can be pushed off, push it off, and then.
Yeah, we can just make sure like that, a smaller agenda or something like that, so we can. get
That's what I'm saying, yeah,
on the park board.
smaller agenda that we can move
And
through in a
make it
half hour
quicker
and
to
get
these
right into
guys.
this.
Yeah.
on a Monday? You have a kid's graduation.
On what day?
It's in the calendar on the ninth, it doesn't.
For May 9th?
Monday, June.
Oh,
You'll be able to stay.
it's not gonna work. The summer's gonna get tough.
June 2nd.
June second then, what about on a different Monday, as much as I don't wanna do that?
Kinda just be here and we meet after park board.
I think park board meets at 7, is that right? Could we, is it
We
possible
can do
to meet
6:05.
earlier?
6:05 for park board.
Yeah,
6:03?
6:02.
Be before park board.
I don't think we're gonna be done in time. That'd be pushing. I'd rather meet after. Just, we can push park, can we push park board up?
Put that on the agenda
Or
then.
not?
Put that on the May agenda. Oh, we can't. It's already late. Oh, yeah, you can.
Did you have a conflict?
Just say
with the
start it
27th? Is
That the June meeting is going to, we have to make a motion to approve that.
Should we do that one?
Start at 6?
that-
Yeah.
Do you have a conflict though?
I do, but I can move it.
Oh, if you
Whatever.
got a conflict, that's fine.
What, do you have a conflict on the 2nd?
I just heard you say what time, so I didn't know if it was a certain.
What are you saying, the board would make a motion to direct park board to start at 6?
In the May meeting, we'd have to start it at 6.
Can we make the 27th of May work?
Yeah, we're all here.
Yeah.
But that's, you're talking about what we had tonight probably. If that's fine for a start time, we're all here.
I'll be here.
Only 9.
As long as nobody hits a gas
Yeah, as long as there's no
before we vote.
gasoline.
If,
going on.
May 27th?
Yeah, I would just ask for admin, because of the meetings we've had lately, can you add a sleeping quarters in the new admin for Sandy and I? Sleeping quarters in the new admin building
You
for
wanna know
us?
that? Like on a Friday, you look, you're like, this is awesome.
For your office.
Me, I'm like,
The cot for your office.
So
Nice
Tuesday,
little
the
addition.
27th, after the meeting, we'll do the same thing.
7:30?
yeah, can we try to put less on the agenda?
There
Ryan?
was
How about this
less.
with smoking breaks?
You know what? That 5 minutes didn't hurt
All
anyone.
right. So that's it, that's all you need from us tonight.
Late agenda 527 and killer. Is that right? Is that
Good
right?
deal.
Where we're at?
Thank you all for your efforts. I think today was a major move forward.
And then we can probably meet after a staff meeting.
Let's just send us an appointment.
What day?
You got good direction though for options, so it's
Yes.
okay.
When's the staff meeting again?
Tuesdays.
Oh, Tuesdays.
Go ahead,
Except
go.
for the second
Go.
Tuesday.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, this meeting's adjourned.
Now we can keep talking.